Hello, everyone. We are live again. Welcome to the weekend. I'm so glad to bring on Jason Miller, the CEO of GETTR and former Trump aide. We're going to have a great conversation about social media apps, free speech apps, and talk about some of your questions for him. I know you guys have a lot of questions after his visit to Timcast this week. So we're going to have a great conversation. So before we get started with that, I want to shout out the sponsor of my coverage today, which is Health with Ivory. One of the main causes of fine lines and wrinkles is a lack of collagen, the protein responsible for skin elasticity and youthfulness. As you get older, collagen production slows down by as much as 10% every decade, but you can give your skin as a much needed boost with Health with Ivory. This ultra-rich powder delivers rejuvenation to your hair, nails, joints, and skin with multi-collagen. This multi-collagen uses powerhouse ingredients that can visibly diminish your wrinkles, as well as get more uplifted, rejuvenated skin with cell renewing proteins. I've partnered with the creators of this amazing multi-collagen to give my audience up to 51% off of their own collagen to celebrate the new year. Go to healthwithivory.com or click that link down below to get yours today, healthwithivory.com. And with that, I will bring on GETTR CEO, former Trump aide, Jason Miller. Jason, thanks so much for joining me. Audio only, unfortunately, today, but thank you.
Thank you very much for having me. It's fun to catch up with you, and thank you for...
Yeah, okay, so
Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you pretty well. Yeah. So excited to have this conversation today. Now, my audience has a lot of questions for you about free speech, especially after your visit to Timcast this week. So, Timcast, you were talking about the community guidelines and where you do draw the line a lot, and actually you do censor out quite a bit. So can GETTR be called a free speech app?
Absolutely. And our free speech platform, we oppose.
Oop, I think we just lost Jason. Hopefully he'll be back on. Here's Jason's GETTR profile. Jason Miller, founder or CEO of GETTR, after formerly being a senior advisor to Trump. Looks like slight audio issues where he's at. Hopefully Jason can come back on and we can have a robust conversation about free speech and options. I know that GETTR surged in popularity right around the start of the new year when Joe Rogan hopped on there after Joe Rogan's interview with Dr. Robert Malone was censored off of YouTube. His GETTR profile was called his insurance plan for Joe Rogan's Twitter. I know, I believe Jason had previously said over 1 million new people joined GETTR following Joe Rogan coming onto the app just this month. So GETTR has risen to popularity, and we're going to talk about some of the questions that you guys have. I know a lot of people wrote in with questions. Oh, it looks like Jason's back on. Hello, Jason. Are you there?
Hey, I'm so sorry. I'm not sure what's going on with this connection. I really apologize here.
Oh, no worries. No worries. So I was just talking about how you really rose in popularity. Your app did after Joe Rogan jumped on. But I think it was a pretty big hit right off the bat. I think GETTR was first founded July 4th of 2021, was it?
Yep, July. We're the fastest ever social media platform to get to 1 million users. Then we're the fastest to 2 million, to 3 million. And now we're almost at about 4.5 million users. And we've grown by about 50% by almost 1.5 million people just over the last 3 weeks, which is really nothing short of amazing. I think kind of the untold story here is the fact that we grew by so much in a short stretch. It was our second biggest burst, you could say, from right after when we launched back in July, and everything functioned great. There were no issues with signups, no issues with our expanding live streams or customer support. And so we've always built the platform with the knowledge that we could have, for example, a President Trump come and jump on and you have 10 million people or something like that in one day. So we've always loaded up with more, whether it be server space or different staffing and technicality things to make sure that everything would function smoothly. So that's why we're glad that it really grew. But this has been an amazing run for us in January. And like I said, we're about 4.5 million people with upwards of 600,000 to 700,000 active users a day, which is also pretty exciting.
Absolutely. I know so many people are getting so sick of the censorship on other platforms, which I think is why you're facing so much scrutiny right now. People want to know for sure that they're not going to get censored by
Yeah.
GETTR.
And I think, look, that's a fair question. If you want to be the best, then you have to be willing to go into tough environments and take tough questions and answer people's questions. Because I think a lot of people have two concerns when I go around and chat with folks. Again, not even just in the U.S. but around the world. Number one, probably the most frequent concern they get from people is how are you going to make sure that you don't get parlored? And how are you going to make sure that we don't go and spend the time and effort to go and develop this and then we get our legs cut out from us? And so what I explained to them is that we've built it and we're setting it up so with their redundancies all the way across the board. The only place, and I'll be very candid and upfront on this, where there's no such thing as a redundancy is the Apple App Store, because they have what's called a closed environment. They get to dictate every single app that goes into the Apple App Store, whereas Google, you can always just go to a website and download what you want if you want to put it on a Samsung Galaxy or an Android. But if you have an iPhone, then they literally dictate every single app that can go on the iPhone. Remember, they went and told Fortnite, the most profitable video game app on the planet, to take a hike over a fees dispute. So they will not hesitate to go and bump people off. That's the only place where nobody is going to be able to tell you there's redundancy with regard to Apple phones. So number one is making sure that we have strong redundancies. And number two, you have to make sure that you have a robust and proactive moderation platform, as I said, where you go through and you make sure there's no illegal activity, there's no pornography, there's nothing of that nature. But then the second point, and this is where you were getting to, is how do we know that if we go and put our trust and confidence in you, that the rules aren't going to change, the game's not going to change, and our free speech rights aren't going to somehow be removed if, say, another country says, for example, you have to don't allow this person to be on your platform, or another country or some government entity in a certain state says, well, we don't want this person on, or this type of thing. Part of that will be simply done over time as people see, here's the type of environment that's being created, here are the type of people who are coming to the platform, here are the types of commentary and discussions that we're having. The other part too is I think our terms of service, which are that's very much a contract from the platform and the users. And again, that's why they're written a little bit legalese. All of the terms of service are written legalese because they are a contract. So hearing that criticism from folks, and again, we've surged out in front. We want to make sure that we answer those questions. We're developing tighter community guidelines. When I say tighter, more specific, I should say, community guidelines, so we can say, here are examples of things where it would be fine, here's examples where it would cross the line, and we hope to have that done shortly. And look, we're going to bring in some of our key allies and advisors. People are just friends of the platform to get some good group input on that, so people do feel like they're a part of this community and they're helping to form this. And I think that will ultimately be the best thing that we can do to show that we're listening to people, we're taking it in, and this is going to be a platform that's going to have your back as we continue to grow.
Okay, yeah, I'm reading this Newsweek article now on the screen. Right-wing social media site bans controversial terms, sparking fury among user base. This is in regards to Nick Fuentes and banning the word Groiper.
So that's inaccurate. You can type the word Groiper on GETTR. Newsweek, not always the top flight editors, but that's fine. You can type the word Groiper, but what we're not going to do is allow GETTR to become the proverbial OK Cupid recruitment zone for the white nationalist set. And that's something where we're drawing the line and saying that this has to be a platform where, regardless of your racial or religious background, you can come and you're going to feel welcome. Now, does that mean that people are going to be playing powder puff football and you can't get into tough conversations, whether it be on law enforcement or immigration or anything else? No, not at all. But that's a decision that we have made, and we hope that people understand that our goal is to make sure this is an inviting platform, and you're never going to please everybody all the way across the board. The other thing too is we're just not going to have any tolerance for people that are using certain words that are seen as very, very damaging to other people based on their racial and religious backgrounds. And again, we want to make sure this is an inviting platform. You're never going to make everyone happy the entire time, but I think where we found is the closest thing to a sweet spot on the bat, where we're defending people's rights to go out there and have the really tough public policy conversation where you don't have to feel like, if I say the wrong thing, I'm going to end up in digital jail, like with Twitter and Facebook. But we're still going to have the platform, the best one out there that can scale and become something that truly can go and fight and take down big tech.
Okay, yeah, I just tried posting Groiper. It works on GETTR. So is that?
Yeah. Yeah, I guess give yourself a high five. I mean, but here's look. I don't want to be. Well, I'm being a little bit of a smart aleck just by nature, but it's I think that I think that we're losing a little bit of sight of the forest through the trees here. That if you're defining success for free speech of being allowed to put Groiper into a platform, which again, you can go and type Groiper. I mean, it's, as you just proved, you can do it. I think we're losing the sight of how we're going to go and defeat big tech and how we're going to go and scale this. And I think the fact that we have such committed conservatives, people who bring the heat, whether it be Alex Jones or Tommy Robinson or Steve Bannon or Dr. Robert Malone, Marjorie Taylor Greene, people who are not exactly shrinking violets, and they've had nothing but positive things to say about their experience. I think part of that is going to be, here's a community that we're building. Here are the people who can say, they've been able to exercise everything they've wanted to say and never had any issues. But look, there are going to be some people, to your point earlier, who might have a different definition on free speech. And if you feel that you're someone who can't go through a post without, say, for example, using some of those racial or religious epithets, there are other places you can go to. I hope that's not the case. We want you to be a part of our community, but that's the goal that we're setting out to achieve.
Yeah, I think so. You guys banned Nick Fuentes, I understand, and temporarily banned the word Groiper.
With regard to Nick, his account has been suspended. I'm never aware of the word itself being suspended. That was part of a post that Nick put out there. And Nick is, quite frankly, I think what they're trying to do is drum up a lot of attention. I mean, he's a provocateur. I don't think he ever had any intention of operating in good faith and being a member of the GETTR community. And that's unfortunate. I think the vast majority of people who come to GETTR say, you know what, finally, I can open up my app and look at social media, and it's not the cesspool that Twitter is. It's not the negative where they're all the lefty bots that are crazy attacking. I can come on here. If I want to talk about the mandates, if I want to talk about the lockdowns, I want to talk about the November 3 movement. I want to talk about anything I want to in the public policy space, or what's going on in your life, you can feel free to. But there are always going to be some people who are looking to try to shoot at you if you're out in front, and I get that. It's we have our big boy pants on, so we realize that if you're the front runner and you're taking off and you put together a good product, you're gonna have people shoot at you, and I get that.
Yeah, I guess people are really concerned as to, just some of those things. And I know Elijah Schaeffer has talked about he believes he's been shadow banned.
Well, let me time out on the Elijah Schaeffer. So when he joined the platform, I believe it was on January 2nd, I literally posted on GETTR, welcome to GETTR. I don't have the post right in front of me. I literally welcomed him to the site and announced him to my 500,000 or 600,000 followers on GETTR. I told the team to make sure that Elijah was somebody who that we put up in the recommended follows. It was great that we had somebody from the Blaze. And then he started popping off saying he's being shadow banned, which was just plain silly. Why would the CEO of a company go and announce somebody and say welcome and try to make it as? And I thought that was cool. I mean, look, Gaston Mooney, who's a longtime friend of mine from the Blaze, I think is great. I think Glenn Beck is great. But then to go out there and kind of play the games of somebody's shadow ban, and that's just silly. I mean, there's some people who kind of go and do this stuff that, look, I guess they're probably, buddies with, another platform or something like that. And I get it. People have been slugging away in the free speech movement. They probably have their allies. But what we're doing, I think, is really, we have the free speech platform that is going to take off like a rocket. And we're up to 4.5 million people over 6 months. In addition to what we started to unveil with the live streaming, where we go next with our vision, our short video format, where it'll be our competitor to both TikTok and Instagram Reels, which will be very cool because obviously with TikTok, you got the concerns about some of the data privacy issues and various things. Obviously, that debate's been, but so this will come out. I had a meeting with the engineers today. I think we're probably 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks tops from having vision. And then, of course, this summer when we launch GETTR Pay, which not only will be a marketplace competitor to Apple Pay and Alipay, but we're going to have a 2-coin crypto ecosystem that'll be this basically would be like the dream to go and combine. Here's the social media energy. Here's also bringing the digital economy and crypto and blockchain to a lot of people who just quite frankly haven't had the opportunity to join it, or maybe didn't know, should I take this step or should I take a look at it? So it's really exciting and some cool technology. And I think that as we talk, Ivory, about our freedom of speech, our freedom of expression, our freedom of financial destiny, I think the opportunities that we're giving to people are pretty exciting here.
Absolutely. And I think, we see people like Alex Jones and James O'Keefe thriving on GETTR who don't have a platform on Twitter. So, I mean, it's clear that you guys, allow more speech than Twitter seems to allow in certain areas. Now, my viewers are still, they have so many questions about, they keep asking about whether GETTR is tied to China. Do you guys?
Yeah. So
What's going on
no,
there?
and the one thing too, I just want to make sure that your both your viewers and your listeners understand is that when you start having when you surge as fast as we do, and there are a lot of people that have been working for years on social media or in the free speech space, and when somebody new comes along and disrupts the system, and this isn't even specific to social media, it can be specific to, say, a candidate, or think of the other platforms as the taxi drivers who paid a lot of money to get their taxi medallions, and then Uber comes along and upends the system. They're gonna be angry, and so you get a lot of folks who start speaking negatively and saying things that aren't true. So we're backed by multiple international investment funds, one that's based out of London, one that's based out of New Jersey. There's no CCP money. There's no mainland China money. That is completely silly. We're moving toward an IPO, which we hope to get to probably about 2 years from now. We're about 6 months in, so I think about 2 years from now is realistic, maybe even a tad bit earlier. And obviously, as part of an IPO, you have to put every piece of whether it be financial or the back end data or security, all those things are part of the process of going through a public offering. So right now, obviously, we're a private company with multiple international investors, nothing from the CCP, nothing from mainland China. And that's, in fact, literally one of our biggest goals here. Even our logo, if you take a look at our logo that has the torch with the flame, it's about bringing lightness to dark, about bringing freedom and democracy to places where they don't have it. We want to take down the CCP. We want to take down any of the communist authoritarian regimes. We want to use social media as a positive force and bring democracy to places where they don't have it. I think that's a much better solution than say the Joe Biden, let's go and move more troops up to the border type solution. Let's go and make sure that we give people the freedom and the democracy to do it. So yeah, if anyone says any of the CCP type or mainland China money or anything like that, they're really just saying it because we've already passed them.
Yeah, you guys, I mean, you guys have a lot of supporters, people in the comments saying, you guys, they love that you live stream War Room every day. Now, is there any truth to this headline I have up here from Vice that GETTR still tracks users for Facebook? And also, are you guys hosted by Amazon Web Services?
Yeah, good question. So we're going with the strategy. I'll take those in reverse order, where we have both a public cloud, and they'll be finalized in about a week or so, to where we then have both the public and a private cloud approach. So even if for some reason Amazon decided that they didn't want to work with us, we'd still have the redundancy and the backup there. And quite frankly, the reason why a lot of folks will use Amazon is because they're the best in the business. Now, we're not going to put all of our eggs in that basket or rely on that exclusively. So we'll be the first social media platform that ultimately functions on a 3 or 4 cloud environment, which is something that's very unique that my engineers have been developing and putting together for quite a while here. And so we'll have the redundancy, because also keep in mind, it's not just if somebody came along and say they wanted to deplatform you, but who's to say that there's not an earthquake or some kind of natural disaster, something happens. The other thing too to keep in mind, that as we're growing internationally, we'll have to have server space, or have a cloud base, for example, in Europe, probably something in Brazil, because of the number of GDPR issues. Or you can do a number of things with tagging the data, but it's easier if you just have it based and it never actually leaves the country. Now, with regard to, one of the things we do is we do not use Google Analytics, for example. So we're not using that. We will go into.
Sorry, you broke up there. Did you?
Commercial.
Yep. Sorry, you broke.
Yeah. So
you broke up
sorry,
there.
I'll go to restate that.
Yeah.
Okay. Can you hear me? Okay.
Yes, I can now.
Yeah, so,
you're breaking. You're breaking up again. I think you said you do not use Google Analytics. Is that right?
Connection here. Are
there you go. I can hear you.
Can you hear me okay now?
Yes.
Okay, sorry about that. So we're not using Google Analytics. We did for the first couple of days. We're up and running back in July, and then we heard from our customers who said, "Hey, we don't want you using Google Analytics," and so we moved away from it. We do use some pixel information for the purposes of internal remarketing. So, say for example, if we're running ads and we direct someone to come and check out GETTR, and say for example they don't necessarily download the app, or they don't go and complete their sign up process, then just for internal purposes, we want to go and chat with them, say, "Hey, we saw that you visited, we want to chat with you, want to have you join the platform," but there's no selling or sharing of any of the user data. That is something that just purely for internal remarketing, because we want to make sure that we get people to join the company and the platform. And in fact, as we look ahead, as we start moving toward GETTR Pay, and when we launch that this summer, the advertising model that we're looking at is something where people opt in to the advertising. It's not completely unique. There are a couple other, I believe it's Brave, who might be doing something similar right now, but where people can opt in and they'll be rewarded in crypto for being shown ads and things of that nature. So that's even kind of the way that we're looking at it, because we're very serious. We're never going to sell or share any of our users' data for anyone else to go and use for marketing or anything like that. And that's clearly where, say for example, Facebook is now just one big data company. That's just what they're about, and people have made that very clear that they're tired of, hey, I sign up for one thing, and then, like, I mean, heck, I'll even tell you, I started getting these text messages from a wine company. I'm like, wine, like, why would I be getting text messages for wine? So I hit stop, and it said, if you have any issues, you can always contact Parler customer service. I'm like, wait, what? So, like, Parler went and dimed out my cell phone number to some wine company. So, I got off the list. I know some other people took 2 or 3 times to do it, but we will never sell or share any user data. So people start getting random advertisements and things like that. So we take that very seriously.
Well, that's good. I don't want to keep you too long, but I want to circle back to Tim Pool, Timcast, and your visit with them. And you guys had a very interesting conversation. I wanted to play a little soundbite from that and get your follow-up reaction, especially in regards to what censoring out, certain violence. I don't think a lot of people want to scroll through their feed and watch someone being blown up, like you said. That's disturbing. But also, Tim brought up a good point of the newsworthiness of certain violence is important for people to be able to see if they'd like.
Yeah, and one of the things that, as we were discussing that, and I think that's a good point. In fact, we had a meeting on that today with the team to say, look, Tim and made some good points on that, and we need to go and revise that policy. So the folks who are listening and watching on your show, where we have been operating on is that and again, where it first popped up was the horrific suicide bombing at the Kabul airport, and we had video that was being posted of literally. And this is going to be a little bit graphic, but literally people exploding and there's no real way to sugarcoat it. And that's pretty gnarly. And so we said, look, the actual moment where somebody's being killed, i.e. here are the body parts flying, that the actual moment of somebody being killed, we don't want to show, but we're not going to go and censor because of the newsworthiness. Say, for example, the after bombing carnage that's around. And Tim brought up a good point, and I think we had a good discussion on that, where, look, there are some other situations, whether whether it be the Kyle Rittenhouse, or they brought up the JFK assassination or things like that, where there would be a newsworthiness. So we're revising that policy. We're going to, again, work with a couple of our community members to make sure that we get that right, so we don't seem like it's too knee jerk. But no, that was look. We take constructive criticism and people who have suggestions on how to make GETTR better. Sorry for that. And we take that to heart, and we listen to what people say, and we want to improve and keep getting better.
Well, that's good to hear that, you guys are always changing. I want to play the quick soundbite here in regards to George Floyd, and then get your follow-up reaction. Here it is.
I think people need to see, the newsworthiness of this. This happened in this country, and if you restrict that, people won't believe it. You could go to someone and say, did you know that a far-left Antifa guy killed a dude? And they'll be like, show me the video. I can't. GETTR banned it.
Would you ban the George Floyd video?
Would not ban the George Floyd video.
But that's a video of someone dying.
But it's with the George. That's a good question. On the George Floyd video, it's the George Floyd video was different for the fact that it was a much longer process. When he's on the ground, he's choking, and correct me if I'm wrong, but he didn't die until shortly thereafter.
No, he died on the ground.
Did he die down there in the ground?
Yeah, on the ground.
Okay.
So you guys would ban it or keep it?
So that's I think I would need to watch that video again to go and see it. But if it's when I was thinking through, I thought that he died shortly thereafter. But if it's the actual act of him dying, then the moment, I think it's a little bit different when someone's exploding. That's.
Yeah. So what were your thoughts on the George Floyd video? Now it's been a day or two since that conversation. I think you're breaking up. You're breaking up. I can't hear you right now. But yeah, George Floyd was detected to have no pulse late by the paramedics at the scene, and then pronounced dead at the hospital later on. But that it is a different kind of death than an explosive death. But the point of newsworthiness stands across all these deaths. Certain deaths people need to see. Tim was arguing. Is your audio back, Jason? Hello?
Ivory? Hey, Ivory.
Okay,
I'm so sorry.
Okay.
Can you hear me okay now?
Yep.
Okay. So.
I think
we're revised. I'll try it one more time here. We're okay. Can you hear me?
I can. You're cutting out, but can't hear you too
okay.
well.
I'm sorry. I'll try it again. I'm not sure what else I can do it. Okay.
Yeah.
So look, we are revising. That particular moderation aspect. I think there's some good points brought up when you talk about the news. George Floyd. Look,
you're breaking up pretty bad right now. But I think what concerned a lot of the viewers seeing that was who are we putting in charge? Why are we putting anyone in charge of our speech? Why not just let us speak and we just won't follow someone who posts something that we don't like? Some people are arguing that. And people are wondering if there's people people behind you or people above you or someone tied to you who incentivizes GETTR to censor certain things? The viewers have a ton of questions right now. Obviously, they're very leery after seeing the amount of censorship on other platforms.
Well, then I would say to the viewers, then come and jump on GETTR and experience it for yourself. Come in and see what your user experience looks like. And I'd say that to the viewers, that what they'll find is that like the other 4.5 million people who've joined the platform, I think they're going to have a very good experience, and they'll see it's easily the best platform out there. And I think they'll look and say, wow, this is really something that finally we have good technology. It's not clunky. It's not B team. It's not junior varsity. Where we can actually go and have that freedom of expression, and you're not going to have to worry about getting sent off to digital jail or what Twitter, Facebook, or people go and, or no warning labels they can put up in the same way that YouTube is now doing, say, for example, with climate change or things like that. And I would say that, look, if folks like Alex Jones and Marjorie Taylor Greene, James O'Keefe, and Jack Posobiec, and Steve Bannon, Mike Pompeo have all had great, fantastic experiences, then I would say come and check it out. And it's great. I think you're going to have a really good time.
Okay, one thing I noticed, no DM option. Are we going to be able to DM people on GETTR?
Yeah. Look, Rome wasn't built in a day. I mean, I think the fact that in 6 months, as much as we have grown, the fact that we've already introduced live streaming, we'll soon have the short video clips where we become a competitor to both TikTok as well. We'll have the DMs in Q1, so they're coming along. But sometimes you got to remember we just got this thing going a few months ago. But we definitely will have DMs on the way soon.
Awesome. And I know you got to run. One final question is about Truth Social, President Trump's social media outlet, coming as soon as a month from today. That's going to be a big competition for GETTR. What do you think about that?
Well, why would you say it's just competition for GETTR? I think it's I think it's great that is coming on board. Number one, a lot of people don't realize this. About 20, maybe 25% of all Trump supporters effectively quit using social media when he got deplatformed last January. And as he has been continuing to make more noise, a lot of these folks have been coming off the sidelines and getting active and getting involved with, again, whether it's GETTR or if it's some other platform that's challenging the big tech establishment. And so I think him being back in is really good. Here's the thing, though. I think the way that you're looking at it is a little bit wrong. This isn't about, say, a Truth Social competing with GETTR, which will automatically then become the two biggest challengers, taking on the big tech platforms out of Silicon Valley. But I think the way that Facebook and Twitter are dying, that will take a chunk out of their hide. And I think that's really what people are looking for, is they want to say, hey, we want to go and try out a new platform. We want to make sure that, one, it's going to be stable, it's going to be secure, we're going to have the free speech taken care of. We also want to make sure it's a good product. We want to make sure that the user experience is there, because nobody is going to go and jump on a platform if it's clunky and it's looks like something out of the mid 2010s. They want to feel like, hey, this is a great user experience. And so I think with Truth Social getting in and President Trump, I think you're going to see literally tens of millions of people get off the sidelines, get active. Some will go to Truth Social, some will go to GETTR, some may even go to other platforms. I think that's great. Number one, lights a fire under us, make sure that we're rolling out even better things and newer things. But also their thing too, I think the real people to worry, look, Twitter stock is down 48% since we launched last July. I think they ought to be ready for their stock to go down even further.
I think you're right about that. Yeah, I've got the Newsweek headline up right now saying Twitter's stock price is struggling a month out from Trump's new app. Well, gotta love the free market and, pushing people to create better products, specifically what we really need right now, free speech apps. Jason Miller, thank you so much for your time and have a great weekend.
Awesome. Thanks, Ivory. I appreciate it.
All right. Talk to you later.